servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Inspiration, motivation takes. Listen to the podcast. We're all about to talk about life. Our guests will share their life story. We want you to success in life and business. We're ready and we will start shortly. We're gonna talk about life. We're going to speak on business. You're gonna shine bright. We are going to witness business with a servant's heart. With hosts Steve, Ramon, and Ray. Inspiration, education talks. Listen to the podcast.
Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. I'm your host, Steve Ramona. I am so thrilled to have you join us today. This podcast is dedicated to exploring the idea of doing business and living life with a purpose. We believe when we approach our work and our lives with a servant's heart, we can truly make a difference. We created this show for you because we want everyone to be motivated, inspired, and educated and make an impact in your world. And I've got a guy in the financial field, and he's young. And I love it because a different perspective from the young, I think it's Gen Z, I mess all those up, but whatever that is, he's part of that, and he's going to give us some great tips. So get your pad and paper out and take some notes. But while you're listening to him today, I want you to think about how you're going to serve today and what impact you're going to create today. And the key word is today. Don't wait for a month from now or a week from now. Get started today and make a difference in your world and change somebody's life. Today's episode is proudly sponsored by our incredible partner, Pantheon Alliance. Imagine being part of an exclusive community of high-income, successful owners and entrepreneurs from very diverse industries. Together, we are building thought leader platforms to impact and change the world. Well, let's talk about impact and change. Finances, as I've talked about before, are very emotional. Mindset is a big part of it. We're going to talk about that. I want to welcome my guest, Travis, to the show.
Hey there, Steve. And I got to tell you real quick for your listeners that may not have heard it, a recent podcast of yours talking about the Marlboro Man and marketing and getting people to say yes. I thought that was really good. I like that one.
Thank you, Brian Gregory. Very good. Yeah. Go out, reach out and listen to that one because he's right. It's amazing what he's doing in marketing. You know, Travis, I just realized your last name is Freeman.
Mm-hmm.
Freedom, financial freedom. So you're a perfect position for you.
I like that. You know, I hadn't put those two together. I might put that on my business card somehow.
Do it. Hey, take it away. That's what we'll collaborate together. I want to jump into the book. I love the title. I think I need to know more about it because you say youth, but I could be part of this as well. You're not just saying under 25. So talk about the book and the title.
Yeah. So The Fortune of Youth. I wrote this book for two reasons. Number one, in my line of work, I help a lot of affluent, successful families. Many of them own businesses or sold businesses, or they were executives, and they might have anywhere from a couple $1 million to $100 million. And if I look across this set of data that I have available to me, right, I get to look at what people did over their lifetimes to reach their level of financial success. Now, it may not be that everybody wants to get to $100 million. Some people might say, I would have retired by the time I hit 10, right, which I respect. But you can see if somebody wants to reach a certain level of financial success, what they need to do with their precious commodity of time. And the other reason I wrote this is I'm 40 right now. I'm 40 this year. So technically I'm an old millennial.
Yes, you are.
I'm an old millennial.
Thank you.
So I was able to use many of these lessons myself for my wife and I was able to reach millionaire status in my late 20s, even coming from a family that was on food stamps when I was a kid. So anybody can do these things. You don't have to be born into a business or win the lottery or get a big inheritance. Anybody can do the things in this book. So it's a roadmap to reach your level of financial success and how to do it with tactics along the way, like tax planning.
Yeah, I like that. Youth, young people, Gen X, whatever we want to call them, financial security and financial savings is not really in their mindset. You get somebody 25, they've launched a business 5 years ago, they're growing, making money. What's the first couple things you would tell a young person that's made money?
Sure. usually I will get someone to look well beyond the time frame that they're usually looking at, right? This isn't always the case, but usually someone, let's just say someone's right out of school and they're looking for their first gig. They're looking for the highest paid opportunity they can find. And I know why, right? They got to pay off student loans. Their friends already have nice apartments and they want one too. And if somebody wants a job that pays $70,000 a year, but there's another one that pays $48,000 a year, they might immediately go, I want the 70, but I go, hold on, what else is going on? Let's say the 70 doesn't have a lot of growth potential, Steve, but the $48,000 salary might grow at 4% a year. The other one's only going to grow at 2%. So nothing crazy, but cost of living adjustments are a little different. By the time that person's in their 40s, that crossover effect happens. And the person with the lower amount of income is actually making more. They're going to end up making almost $100,000 more a year by the time they're later in their life, close to retirement. And imagine what that means to their savings and all the things that they want in life, right? And that's just 4%. What if they wind up in a market like Denver or Nashville, or in a company in a market like Denver or Nashville that's growing like crazy, right? Now it's exponential. So I get people thinking decades, not months, when it comes to their career.
That's the big problem with young people. Like, I'm just 25. I got 70 years before I'm 95. I'll worry about it back then. And I did that at 18. I met a real quick financial advisor, gave me the Wealthy Barber book back in 78. I didn't even think you were born, probably weren't, but it doesn't matter. And I did it in 10 years. I had $68,000 in my account. It was 10% of your income, just put it away. So yeah. I know what you're talking about. What are other strategies that young people can do to really, when they hit 50, 60, be able to go on that nice vacation, have that money to have fun, but know their future secure?
The number one pitfall I see people fall into, and even highly successful, highly intelligent people, is they just get over their skis on their home. People end up buying too much home. And they always tell me, well, the bank approved me to buy that, right? The bank looked at all my info. I got a great credit score. The bank said I could buy this. The bank doesn't give a damn about your future. It's just they don't. They're there to get you into a loan and they move on to the next customer, right? And I have friends that work in banking. It doesn't mean that the people are bad, right? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I've met people that have just squandered so much time because 35-40% of their income is going into the big home that they bought, or two homes, and all the utilities and the upkeep and their taxes and everything else. Whereas if I think about some of the most successful people I know, they bought very reasonable homes. And, the real estate game's changed a little bit, but my goal for a long time was I don't want to own a home that costs more than my annual income. So think about that for a sec, right? My wife and I have intentionally kept our home expenses small, and we save like crazy for other goals, and we get to take the vacations and trips that we want, right? And our home is nice. Like, we're really happy with it, but I don't need this $5 million piece of real estate to prove anything to anybody. Think about what my kids are learning along the way too. So anyway, I could go on about the kids, but that's the one thing I'll tell people is just don't get over your skis on big expenses like the house.
The servant's heart. I love that. You just nailed. Get them the 5 million. They're making more money, and you got more money. You're like, it's about you. Let's worry about you, not about me as the financial advisor. I want to point that out because that's not big in your industry, to be honest. And you're laughing. We're going to stop right there. So let's flip it to somebody 50 or 60. You have clients at that age. What do you do with them and somebody listening? How do they look at their retirement or their future?
Oh, yeah. Thank you. So many people have not had a financial plan yet. And by the way, the housing point is really regardless of age, right? But I'd say if someone gets in their 50s, 60s, if they haven't sat down to do an actual plan, a financial plan for their future, it's really hard to know where you're headed, right? Let's say you leave on a boat from New York and you're headed to London. And on your departure from New York, you point exactly to London. and then you leave and never adjust again, right? No, there are going to be waves. There are going to be things that change in the sea. The boat might have trouble, and you might wind up in North Africa instead, right? So along the way, if you're not making sure you're headed exactly where you think you are, you might actually get close to retirement. You don't have near the amount of money that you want to live the life that you've been living. And at that point, it might be hard to refresh in your resume. So if someone's in their 50s or 60s and they have ideas in their head, what they want to do, how it's going to look, when they're going to retire, but they've never measured it using sophisticated software and a professional, folks, it's worth it. Go talk to somebody. And if that professional says, hey, for me to do all this math and calculation and review your tax return and do all this retirement math, it's going to cost you a couple grand. Imagine the cost of not doing it and wasting 10 more years of your life that you can't get back, right? It is worth it to sit down and do that plan.
A friend of mine, guest Eleni Anastos, says, date your money. And I love that phrase, kind of what you're saying, date your money. What do you do on a date? You're going to go out every so often. So you need to look at it. I know a lot of people that don't. I do. And because I learn from professionals like you that are smart, you got to know what you're doing. What was your greatest failure in business?
Boy, my greatest failure in business. So I started a financial technology company years ago. And when I started this fintech company, I had a vision on how it could help companies and their employees make better financial decisions with their money, save to the 401k more, use the HSA more. It reduces payroll taxes for the business. And I had this solution created, but I wanted to expand it nationwide. Hired some IT engineers, went down this path. And just prior to hiring the IT engineers and spending all this of my own money, I didn't raise capital. This is my own money I put into this thing. I met with a guy who had started and sold a very successful company for millions of dollars. It may have actually been an 8-figure number. And he told me what to do, creating my tech company. And I thought I knew better than him, and I didn't listen to his advice. And I ended up wasting a 6-figure sum of my own money and a couple years of my life not taking advice. So I'd say one of my biggest mistakes in business is spending time listening to people that have good lessons learned and then not end up taking it. And I have learned that if I'm going to spend money or time to reach out and ask for help, I'm going to listen to it, right? Because I don't know everything. I hire a lot of people for skill sets I don't have. Just let them tell me what to do or do their job. That was one of my most painful mistakes in business, but I learned a lot from it.
No, and the other lesson is that you're successful now. You had a failed business. You're not homeless. You and your wife aren't living under a tent. You're doing well. You got this nice little home and you're helping clients. And people have to understand that you made a decision to do it. Yeah, you made a mistake, not listen to your mentor. You learn from that. We make mistakes all the time. As entrepreneurs, as business people, that's just part of the business.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's life. How'd you become a self-made millionaire?
So right in college, while I was studying finance, I knew exactly what I wanted to do when I went to college. First guy in my family to pursue a bachelor's degree. So at 19, I started my career. By the time I graduated, I had worked for 3 financial services companies, and I started a practice right out of school. I knew I didn't want to work for anybody, but having a W-2 job was just not in my DNA by that point. And it was tough. It was really tough at, what was I, 22 at that point to be starting a business, but sacrificed time, crazy work hours, eventually hired a part-time assistant, hired a full-time person, hired a second full-time person, hired a third full-time person. And it got to the point where things had, through luck and good fortune, things had worked out with my business. And that's how I did it.
That's very cool. And persistence, resilience, I think the probably words that you probably were in your soul that you had to do.
You got it. You got it. But I wanted these things in my life so badly that I was willing to kick the round and brush it off, and get back up and not let failure be an option.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's where the successful people are. I mean, look at Warren Buffett. I think it's 40 companies. He's defunct, but he's one of the richest guys in the world. So not that we'll have to be him. So let's talk about being an author. And shout out to Book Thinkers. They've helped grow your book. And that great. The Nick Hutchison, shout out to you. Why did you become an author? What are the benefits for people who are listening or thinking about writing a book?
Sure. So this is actually my second book. Don't even bother looking up my first book, folks, by the way. I did a self-published one. This one I'm really happy about. And the beauty of being an author is, one, it's like a gigantic business card, right? Once you're published and you got this big thick book you wrote, people look at you a little differently. But this is something that's going to live well beyond me being on this earth. So if you think about it, this is kind of part of legacy, Steve, and it's a humbling feeling. I really hope that a lot of people end up reading this. A lot of younger people read this and use it. You know, in my line of work, I'm not trying to get 20 somethings to be clients. They usually don't have $10 million, right?
Yeah.
So I wrote this so it genuinely helps more people and they can give to charity and find their own success, right? So I'd say if you're interested in being an author, I can even give you some lessons learned having done 2 of these books over the last 15 years. So the folks can reach out. But I would encourage doing it if it's something you've always wanted to do. In fact, I even wrote an article on how to do it. If somebody has thought about writing a book, it was a great 4-year venture to do this one.
Yeah, and that's the key. It was 4 years. Doesn't happen overnight. And no, you never mention anything about bestseller of Amazon, New York. And I appreciate you not doing that, because that, if you got it, that's great. That's the cherry on the cake, the business card. I'm glad you said that. I tell people all the time. That's all. Well, that's really mostly what it is. And quick story, I had a guest on. He wrote a book, Can You Think and Grow Rich?
Oh,
and
sure.
Think and Grow Rich loves it. They say it's better than Think and Grow Rich because he did the practicality. He died 6 weeks ago, 63 years old. But his legacy, like you just said, is living on. More books are being sold because they're hearing about it. So I love that.
That's
what's one tip? And somebody looks at their portfolio and going, I'm losing money. It's not happening now, but it does happen. Oh my God, I just lost 20% of my account. I'm in big trouble. What do you tell them?
Well, if somebody, recently, it depends on when someone's listening to this podcast, but there are always periods of time when the market goes through gyrations and volatility picks up, right? It's just the ante to be in the game of investing. If someone had already had a really thorough approach to how they invest, well diversified, they follow modern portfolio theory, they're broadly diversified in asset classes, then maybe the solution is hanging tight and reminding yourself, this is the ante to be in the game to invest, that I'm going to lose money sometimes. But if somebody had not followed diversification, they put a bunch of their money in one or two or three things, or they're not working with a pro and they're not comfortable with investing, if things may not have been set up right, I don't blame someone for being a little anxious, right? If your foundation is set up strong, leave it alone. It likely is unlikely to crumble as long as you built it strong. But if that foundation isn't strong to begin with, maybe it is time to go seek some help and try to remove your emotions from the situation as best you can. Treat it as a business decision. There's a reason surgeons don't operate on their own kids, right? You have to pull the emotion out if you're going to do a good job.
Yeah, that's a great phrase. And I talk about, you're not going to put an engine in my car, Travis, but you'll take care of my numbers and my money. Don't try. This is not especially it's millions of dollars. I've talked to people, I'm going to DIY, I'm going to do YouTube. I'm like, no, what are you doing? That's crazy. You always need a third perspective. And you mentioned before the show about how you uniquely do investments and do stocks and find different things. Talk about that.
So I'll give you my own personal take. I'm a big believer in investing in the public equity markets, right? I think S&P 500 level companies, and you can do the same thing globally, right? I'm a big believer in that. But there's also real estate that you can buy on an exchange, but there's real estate that you can buy off an exchange. That's a simple example. And for my wife and I, we like owning companies that you can buy on an exchange, but companies that are private too. So some of those my wife and I own or started. We're actually in the works of looking at one that we're going to buy, right? So I'm actively buying companies where I can buy a bunch of shares online, but companies where I can buy it and it's not on the exchange, because the inherent volatility in some of those isn't the same. I'm diversifying further. So let's just call that private equity. I like, with my own dollars, putting it into public equity as well as private equity, because they're just different risk and return characteristics to both. It has benefited for us.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said the PE, public. If you do the right way, there's always good in everything. It's not all bad. Money. We're coming to the end here. It's so emotional. You mentioned it before. Is that why a pro or an expert like you or somebody who's been doing this so important? Even if you got $100,000, somebody like you could really do good things with that money, right?
It's funny you say that. So not everybody needs a professional.
Okay.
I will go out and say that. Now, some of my peers might tell me I'm wrong. But in the book, I actually go on to say, who needs a financial professional? Not everybody. The more complexity that enters someone's life, the more value there is to a professional. But if I were to meet somebody that has all their money in an S&P 500 fund, they're renting an apartment, they have no kids, they're not married, I don't know how I can really help them. I can guide them and give them some tips, right? But when somebody's 55, they have stock options, they have restricted stock at work, their spouse has a retirement plan with some unique benefits, they want to start a business, or already own a business, they want to buy a second home. There's all this stuff going on. Why waste your Sunday afternoons dealing all the complexity with these stuff? Outsource it to a professional, and they're going to handle the investments at the same time, right? Why not just have someone take care of it for you? I don't do my own taxes anymore, Steve. I hire a professional to take care of my taxes because they've grown in so much complexity. Can I handle them? Certainly I can. But I'm going to waste time that I could be golfing with my two boys, my identical twin boys. I'd rather pay the CPA and enjoy my life while I have my health. You know what I mean? A big part of it is that. So high complexity could mean high value, and give it a try if no one's ever tried it before.
And I appreciate you talking about Sundays, because NFL's starting. I can't give up my NFL days. So you're absolutely right. I'm going to hire somebody. Like your golf with your kids. I don't have to watch it, but I love the NFL. So it's funny you mentioned Sundays. We're getting to the end here. I like to ask a really fun question. So you've reserved a table of 4 at a restaurant. Who would you invite in the 3 seats that are empty, dead or alive? Why would you invite them? And what food would you order?
Oh, boy. Martin Luther King Jr., Condi Rice. I heard her speak one time. I think she's a really neat lady. I don't know who the third one. It's me plus 3, or I got to pick 4.
3.
You
okay. Plus 3. Or you could do 2. It's your table. We can make it a table of 3 if you can't find a third one.
The third one would probably be Elon Musk. I see so much online from him, but it would be interesting just to have a candid conversation and ping him with questions that are on my mind, So those 3, that'd be quite an eclectic group, right?
Yes.
What would I order? I would probably order, a sandwich. So I would just stuff my mouth and let them talk the whole time. I just want to listen. I just want to sit there and listen to them. So I don't know that it matters what I order. That'd be a neat lunch, right?
Yeah. Hey, Elon Musk might be crazy, but you can't argue that he's not smart and not innovative.
Yeah, fascinating. Look at the stuff he's created, right? Yeah.
Let's just look at that. Take all that minutia out for a minute. It's not like we're giving him $100 million, me and you. It's just, I want to learn from you. I love that. What a great group. So thank you for being on, Travis. This has been so enlightening, and you're so smart and you care. That's a great combination. I appreciate that.
No, appreciate it, Stephen. Thanks for what you do in the podcast. This is wonderful.
Thank you. How could people support you and reach out to you and find you?
Sure. So if people want to learn more, there's a link to the book and also articles on how to write a book and the way I look at entrepreneurship and business ownership. They can go to growthinfo.com, and everything's right there on the website.
And I'll have that in the show notes. You'll have access to that. I'm sure there's a place they can contact you, a contact page. They have questions and things like that. So go ahead and do that. Get the book too. They'll have access to the book. You don't have to be young to do that, but anytime you can learn about finances, it's a home run. The grand slam is hiring somebody like Travis to really take it to the next level. But at least reading and educating yourself, you're getting that home run, which I love.
Yeah, well, they won't be let down by the book.
That's what I love to hear. I'm actually got it on my notes here to order it because I love learning. With that being said, subscribe to our YouTube channel, because you not only get to listen or see Travis multiple times, you can see some of these other guests, like he mentioned, Brian Gregory from the Yes Foundation that does the Yes test. So do that. Comment on the YouTube channel. Critique. Good, bad, doesn't matter. Let me know about the podcast. Or if it's information you want Travis to see, I'll make sure he gets it. You might have a comment about, hey, I have this or that. This is all about communication. Podcasts are beautiful because we can communicate back and forth and learn, grow, and motivate each other. And that's the whole goal with this. And as always, me and Travis, thank you so much for listening or watching to this podcast. And we'll see you in the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. Have a great day, everyone.